Ahoy everyone and welcome back once again to I Like Watches. Rotary recently reached out to me offering me the opportunity to review a new release, a remake of a 1960s chronograph diver, a skin diver inspired watch called the Aqua Plunge, and of course I said yes please because, well, I grew up with rotary watches. They've been massive in the UK for decades, so yeah, I was curious to see what they had to offer when it comes to the new trend of remaking watches from the sort of 60s and 70s. In this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about this chronograph Aqua Plunge remake. So the first thing I'm going to show you is a picture of the original watch from the 60s, and I think this remake is actually a fairly faithful and accurate remake. And I like the fact that they've also made it 38mm in diameter. If it wasn't a remake of this watch from the 1960s, I suspect it would have a bigger diameter than that. So yeah, I like the fact that it's a 38mm diameter case, but it's not going to suit everyone, of course, because the trends over the last few decades has been for watches to get bigger and bigger, and although we're seeing that trend reverse a little bit, I think we would still expect this watch to be a little bit bigger than 38mm, but I love the size. Now there's a few versions available. This one, which is £269, comes on a very nice soft leather strap, but they've also offered this watch in a couple of different colour variations on a stainless steel bracelet with what looks like a butterfly clasp, which would not be my first choice. Yes, you get nice continuation of the bracelet all the way around your wrist, but butterfly clasps, I don't know, I'm just not a massive fan of them. And quite often you're restricted in terms of micro adjustment options, aren't you? But the watch they've sent me to show you in this video has come on this nice leather strap, a very nice polished buckle, signed, sort of decorative look to it. The dial, it's a sort of reverse panda dial, a matte black dial. There is some lume on this watch, so I'll show you the lume degrading at the end of the video, along with my standard legibility test. Quite a bit going on with this watch. You've got those two complications. One is a 24-hour sub-dial, the other one is the minutes for the chronograph function. Of course, you've got the running seconds hand for the chronograph function on the dial. No actual running seconds hand for the time on this watch because you've got the VK64 Mecha Quartz movement inside this watch. The VK63 has 3 sub-dials. One of those is a running seconds hand. They've chosen to go with the VK64 because, well, it's more in keeping with the original watch, isn't it? Now that movement does have a date complication. They've chosen not to put that date complication on this dial, again because it's more in keeping with the original watch, which means you have a ghost position on the crown. And with those sub dials, the text under the 12, the text above the 6, those markers, the minute track and the tachymeter on the dial, there's quite a lot going on, but it still looks pretty good. And of course there's stuff going on with the bezel as well. It is a diver's bezel, fully polished, 90 click unidirectional bezel action. The clicks are okay, they're fairly crisp. It's not the smoothest bezel action I've ever experienced. Have a listen. The grip is okay. You've got a sort of coin edge around the outside of the bezel. Unfortunately, the alignment on this one is fractionally off. It's either slightly to the right of the 12 o'clock and slightly to the left if you move it on one click. So yeah, that's a bit of a shame. The hands are nice enough. On the main dial, they're a sort of silvery, polished, reflective finish. The two hands on the sub-dials are a black finish. One of them's got a little bit of lume on it. That is the hand on the minutes for the chronograph. Interestingly, on the original watch, that little sort of lumed triangle was on the other side. But then the original watch had different sub-dials. Nice piece of crystal, again, very much in keeping with the style of watch, the fact that it's a remake of a 1960s skin diver watch. It is mineral crystal with a very subtle domage to it. There is some distortion if you tilt the watch and look through the crystal at a tight angle. Of course, you get some play around the outside of the crystal as well because it is a piece of box or top hat crystal. The fact that it's not sapphire crystal is going to be a problem for many people, sadly, and the fact that it protrudes above the bezel as well, which means it's just going to be a little bit more prone to knocks and scratches. But at least they didn't go the whole hog and make it acrylic crystal, which is basically plastic. Case finishing seems nice enough. It's very simple. The case is actually a very simple case, isn't it? You've got a top surface which is brushed, longitudinal brushing, and then two large sides to the case, polished, nice bright reflective surfaces. Screw down case back, pull, push, crown. 100 meters of water resistance with this watch, which I think is enough given its remake or reissue of a 1960s sort of chronograph diver. And it's actually very nicely finished. The polishing is really, really bright and smooth. It's actually like a mirror. Unfortunately, I generally prefer case backs to be brushed because they're quite prone to scratches. But yeah, they've done a nice job of it. A few specifications and a sort of celebratory icon in the middle, celebrating over 125 years of watchmaking. And then you've got the unique number at the top. This is number 5 of 500. So £269 for this watch. I think that's a very reasonable sum of money for this limited edition watch from a global brand. And yeah, let's not forget Rotary started out being a proper Swiss watch brand. In fact, I did own a beautiful Swiss-made Rotary watch housing the SW200 a little while ago. So they are still on occasions dipping their toe into the Swiss-made watch market, but on the whole, their watches are sort of more affordable non-Swiss made watches. And yeah, I think this is sort of what I was expecting from them, and I think it's a good looking watch. I think they've done a really, really good job of creating a reissue. I'm so pleased with the size. All too often we see reissues or remakes just made way too big. I reviewed one recently from Citizen. It was just massive, and actually when it arrived I was really disappointed with how it looked. I thought it looked much nicer in the pictures, and when it turned up I was quite disappointed, but that hasn't been the case here, thankfully. Yeah, I think it looks even better in person than it does in the pictures. So yeah, this one gets a thumbs up from me, and it would have got 2 thumbs up if it came with a piece of sapphire crystal and if that bezel alignment was better. So yeah, still room for improvement, but a nice piece. Right guys, let me know what you think in the comments section, and as always, a massive thank you from me to you for tuning in. I do appreciate it.